And we're back with some more Calgary Flames franchise mode in FHM 9. And in this one, we have the start of year number 5. And in the last one, we did make a few changes to our roster, partially because of the salary cap, but also because of the fact that we were not good enough to make the playoffs last year. So we traded the likes of Stankoven and Ponomarev to Chicago in order to free up some cap, and we traded for the prospect Cody Glockner. Got that 4.5-star potential. Looking forward to seeing how he turns out. We traded Connor Arsenault to the Pittsburgh Penguins for a 3rd-round pick, and we traded Corbet to the New Jersey Devils for just a depth forward to shed some more cap. And in free agency, we got a new goaltender, Landon Miller. We got a new center in Tyler Peddle. Hopefully he turns out to be a pretty good defensive center. And based off what I saw from his stats, it looks like he will be. And with all those changes, I'm hoping we can have a better season this time. And our head coach, Rod Brindamore, even though it was his first season last year, he's kind of already under a microscope, just given the fact that this team was so inconsistent last year when it came to our overall record. So if there's ever a point where I feel like the season's starting to get out of hand, then Rod Brindamore might be out of here. So with that, let's advance through the first couple of months, I would say. All right, so we're on November 1st. We're 7-6-2 now. We're 6th in the division, unfortunately, so not off to a great start. Goals against per game, we're at a 3, 15th in the league, so not bad, not good. Face-offs, we're good there, 52.3. But the space where we are, for some reason, struggling massively is goals for per game, 30th in the league with a 2.6. That's awful. Power play, for some reason, is at 23.3. So whenever we're good 5-on-5 scoring, we're awful on the power play. But now this year, we seem to be terrible 5-on-5, but on the power play, we actually managed to get goals. And penalty kill, here's the odd thing. The penalty kill is 75.5, is 24th in the league. So I'm not entirely sure what to make of that. And when you take a look at our defensive grades, most of our players are pretty good, honestly. Few players there with sub 60, but at least it's players that I expect to be sub 60, like Coronado, and then the 4th line, so not a huge deal. But the big deal here, the really, really big deal, is just take a look at this atrocious depth score. This is some of the worst depth scoring I have ever seen. Usually my teams are pretty deep offensively, but for whatever reason, this one is just absolutely atrocious. And it's not like there's a lack of offensive talent. We have Elfring, Pegamagabo, Coronado, Brisson, Creech, who came out of nowhere. His offensive ratings are actually pretty good. 3.5-star ability in his first year in the NHL, in the pro leagues for that matter. He's got 9 points, I believe. Yeah, 9 points in 15 games. And then Peddle signed for the defensive side of the game. At least he has a 64 defensive grade. Because offensive, he's definitely not great. That definitely could have gone better. Brody Meehan in his first NHL season, not doing too hot so far. 52 offensive, 51 defensive. Then you got Antolovsky in his first NHL season with the 61 defensive grade. So at least he's doing well defensively, but offensively not so much. And the same could be said for most of our roster, unfortunately. McCann, Hayes, Tersigny, all doing pretty terribly offensively. I don't know what happened to Hayes, because he was his first season here. He had 47 points in 80 games played. Last season he had 28, and this season only 3 and 15. So far he is on track for by far his worst season yet, 15 points. I'm not sure what's going on here when it comes to all these slumping players, but I am not impressed. Very not impressed so far. And Doug Elfring only with 6 points as well, only on track for 31. And after that 74-point season he had 2 years ago, I thought he was on the upswing offensively, but apparently that coaching change from Bugner to Rod Brindamore might have done him in. And the same can be said for most of the roster. So honestly, I think Brindamore might be on his way out here soon if the team doesn't get it together within the next month. Because offensively, this is not a pretty sight. Like, you have 1 point per game player in Brisson, and you have 11 for Pegamagabo and Muse, 9 for Braden Creech, the rookie, 8 for Shane Wright, 7 for Coronado in 9 games. So that's good. 7 for Bernier, 6 for Elfring and Byram. Over half of our roster has like 4 points or less in 15 games played. That is so bad. I'm hesitant to simulate anymore, but at the same time, I want to see if this is just a start of the season slump, but I get the feeling that it's not. But the only thing about this year is that, remember, we traded away our 1st-round pick for this year. Now, luckily, it is top 10 protected, so if we somehow land in that range, where it would be our pick, then that's all well and good. But if we just barely miss the playoffs like last year, then that pick becomes, I believe it was San Jose's. Yeah, this has certainly been one of the most interesting teams I've managed in quite a long time. Yeah, I'll go one more month. All right, we're on December 1st now, and frankly, I'm not sure how to make sense of this team. We are now 19-9-2, third in the division, 1 point out of first, and somehow, I believe our scoring has it's made it into the top half of the league, now at a 3.27, and then goals against per game, we're 5th in the league. Like, this is probably one of the craziest teams I've ever managed. Power play is 12th with a 20.7. Penalty kill is 17th with an 80.7. I'm certainly not complaining, mind you, but like you see where some of my decisions have come from with this team, because 1 minute they'll show they're a bottom 10 team, and then the next minute they'll just rise up to the top 5 in the league like it's nothing. Very unpredictable for sure. You got Brisson with 29 points in 30 games. Elfring picked up the scoring with 27 now in 30. So he's on a much better pace. He's on a pace like he was 2 years ago. Muse with 27. Coronado with 23 and 24. So he's basically point per game. Creech with 22 and 30. Pegamagabo with 22 and 26. I mean, this team seems like it's just really dependent on its top 6. Like, if they're not going, then the rest of the team's not going. So, in other words, when your best players are your best players, you're going to be good. You have Miller with the 905 save percentage and Debut in 10 games played with a 913 save percentage. Why isn't Debut playing more? He should be playing more than Landon Miller, who is only a 2-star talent at 27 years of age, while Jeremy Debut, 21 years of age, 2.5-star talent, 3.5-star potential, only playing half the games. So that is certainly an interesting choice by Rod Brindamore. I mean, the team's doing well, so I'm not going to fire him now. But if there comes one more time this season where we are starting to fluctuate again, he's going to be on his way out at that point, because like we can't have this kind of fluctuation with a team like this. I think if we're to hire another coach, it's got to be someone more like Bob Boughner, just in terms of his preferences, because I believe Boughner was defensive preference with physical preference and then an aggressive line matching tendency. I'm pretty sure that's what he was. But for right now, just given the circumstances of the fact that we don't have a first round pick this year, let's just go with what's working right now. December was so inconsistent. Win, win, loss, loss, win, loss, win, loss, win, loss, win, loss, loss. This team, man, I don't get it. We're 4th in the division as of right now, but that could change at literally any moment. We could fall down to 6th within the next couple of games if we don't win regularly here. We're currently in a wild card spot, but Vegas and LA are right behind us. Not only for the wild card, but for the divisional spots as well. All right, I think I'll keep advancing, but I'm going to take it week by week, because this is a very delicate situation. And I gotta be prepared to possibly fire Rod Brindamore, because it seems like this team just works better with a defensive-minded coach. That's what I noticed with Bob Boughner. We're on January 16th now. We are 28-20-2. We are currently 2 points within 6th. Let's see the schedule. How have we done in January so far? Win, loss, loss, win, loss, loss, win. I don't like it. I don't like it. We're way too inconsistent. Yeah, I think I'm going to fire Brindamore here. I'm not feeling it. If we go into the playoffs with this team as it is, if we make the playoffs, that is, I don't think we're getting far, because we are just way too inconsistent right now. I'm going to start looking for a new head coach, because this is getting kind of ridiculous. So I did find a head coach who is pretty similar to Bob Boughner. Not in his attributes. I mean, his attributes are just, kind of whatever. They're decent enough. They're serviceable for the NHL level. But I like that he has a defensive preference, physical preference, aggressive line matching tendency. So if no one else, Zach Fitzgerald might be the guy. There's no one else who stands out to me preference-wise, because the preferences clearly seem to have a big effect on the simulation. And not to mention, he's only 48 as well, so he's not, I wouldn't say he's at risk of retiring anytime soon. I'm going to say Fitzgerald, he's one of the front runners right now. Brent Thompson, he looks okay, but definitely not as good as Zach Fitzgerald in regards to ratings or preferences, so I'm going to say no to him. Plus, he's 63, so he's probably going to end up retiring soon anyway. You're going to pull a Bob Boughner on us if we hire him. I'm looking at all the defensive coaches here. Defensive and physical, but no ratings are kind of eh. Fitzgerald's were much better. Peter DeBoer, I like everything about him except for 2 things. Passive line matching tendency and 65 years old. So probably not. He's a good candidate, but I'm going to say no. I like Fitzgerald better. Yeah, I've looked for quite a bit here, and I am pretty sure Zach Fitzgerald is the best option from what I'm seeing. Serviceable miscellaneous ratings, serviceable coaching ratings, and for the most part, his preferences are where I want them. Yeah, I'm going to see if I can sign Zach Fitzgerald as our new head coach. Obviously can't do that yet because I have to fire Rod Brindamore, so release head coach, pays $575,000. I don't care about that. Apparently there's the player Zach Fitzgerald and then the staffer Zach Fitzgerald. I'm guessing they're both the same person. Yeah, they're both the same person because this guy's 48 too. So it's just a separate profile for the same person. There you go. Hire as head coach. I'd say 2 seasons. So there you go. Once again, another new head coach for your Calgary Flames. Hopefully this one was more permanent than the last 2 or 3 actually have been. Normally I don't go through this many coaches, but of course the first one was brought on before I was here. The second one retired after a season and a half. And then the third one just didn't work out so well. So hopefully number 4 is the lucky number here. All right, and with that being done, let's advance to the rest of January and probably get through February as well. All right, we're on March 1st, 34, 24, and 3. We are 3rd in the division, not by a lot, but we are 3rd. Honestly, I don't really feel comfortable enough to make any moves. I mean, I know there's always going to be some sort of risk in making trades, right? I mean, we've seen that, but they haven't exactly worked out for us, and frankly, there's not a lot of assets that I want to move. So let's see what everyone's doing here. 49 points for Brisson, Muse, and Coronado. 47 for Pegamagabo. 45 for Elfring. 40 for Wright. 38 for Creech and Bernier. 36 for Byram. 19 for McCann. That drops off hard between Byram and McCann. And Petal with 19. Price with 18. Tersigny with 17. Hayes and Antolovsky with 15. Mukmadula with 13. Sheets with 12. Meehan with 11, Hinton with 4, Emery with 3. Then in goal, you have an I-10 for Debut in 38 games played, and Miller with an 899 in 25 games played. Definitely rolling with Debut from this point forward. Maybe I'm just overthinking this. Sometimes the best move is no move at all. I think this team has gone through a little too much change recently with not only the new coach, but the several transactions that happened over the offseason. I don't think we need even more change right now while we're in the middle of what could be a playoff run. I'm not saying it definitely will be because we are like 3 points outside of not making the playoffs right now. But for right now, I just want to stick with this roster, give them a chance to really show what they can do when they're all gelled together, you know? And when the regular season comes to a close, then we can reassess. But for right now, let's just focus on making the playoffs with what we have. Oh no, Bernier, 2 to 3 weeks injury. Okay, that's not terrible. We've been pretty lucky with the injuries as of late. We haven't gotten too many major ones. That might be the first major one all season, honestly, that I've seen. Oh, are you kidding me? Brisson and Wright injured at the same time? Oh, did I just jinx it? I just jinxed it, didn't I? They're both 1%. Right? 3 to 4 months. Dare I look at Brisson? 3 to 4 months. That is absolutely unreal. Of course I just jinxed it. I just had to jinx it, didn't I? Brisson and Wright to the long-term injury list. There's our top 2 centers down at the same time. Oh no. This is not going to be good. This is absolutely not going to be good. Now we have Petal and Antolovsky as our top 2 centers, and it's past the trade deadline. Oh man, who do I have to call up here? Connor Tilley? Oh man. Injuries just had to come back and bite me at the very last possible moments when it wasn't possible to trade anymore. Oh man, that top line of Creech, Petal, and Elfring. Elfring, I need you to carry, my man. I need you to carry. Oh man. At least the defensive core is still intact, and watch, I just jinxed that too. Coronado, Antolovsky, Pegamagabo, Tersigny, Hinton, McCann, Hayes, Tilley, Fortman. Oh man, that is so bad. That's the most hockey gods in your face type of move I've seen in this GM mode so far. Oh man. I mean, we may be in a playoff spot right now. We're in the wild card, but with those 2 out, I don't know. We might slip out. We very well might slip out. All right, let's see the rest of the season here. Can we hold our spot in the playoffs? I'm not hopeful. Oh, are you kidding me? Another one? Brody Meehan for 2 to 3 months with a broken... Oh man, our depth just keeps going to the injury list like it's nothing. We have now three centers on the IR. Long-term IR. And why is Coronado on the third line now? I guess just spread out the scoring, and that might be coach's logic here, but oh man, that is a rough forward core. 2 games to go. We are 45, 30, and 5. 95 points. We're somehow still in third. So it looks like we might actually make the playoffs here. Yeah, I'm pretty sure we're in at this point. We just won against Vegas 6-0. And yeah, we just won against Seattle. We finished the season 47, 30, and 5, 99 points. I don't know how, honestly, I don't know how that end went as well as it did with losing 2 of our top players. We only lost 1 game in April against St. Louis. Every other game was a win. That went much better than I thought it would. So let's take a look at the end of the season stats, and then we'll move on to the playoffs in the next one. Leading the team with 64 points each are Elfring and Coronado. For Elfring, that was a 37-goal season. Not bad. Certainly much better than I thought he would end up being this season with how he started, but that's a good finish for him. Coronado, 48 assists. Muse with 63 points. Pegamagabo with 60. 50 for Creech. He had a great rookie season. Wouldn't be surprised if he was up for the Calder. Byram with 48. Bernier with 41. Petal with 30. Price with 27. McCann with 25. 24 for Mukamadulin. 23 for Antolovsky. 22 for Tersigny. 20 for Sheets. 19 for Hayes. 7 for Hinton. 3 for Emery. And 2 for Tilly. Debut in 58 games played with the 914. Miller in 27 games played with the 896. So Debut, definitely the guy going to the playoffs. Goals for per game, we are at 3.13, 16th in the league. And goals against per game of 2.89, 7th in the league. Faceoffs, 16th in the league with a 50.2. Power play, 7th in the league with a 21.3. And penalty kill, 13th in the league with an 81.3. I mean, we made the playoffs in the end, so I guess I can't complain, but certainly some inconsistencies early on in the season that were a bit of a scare. And now with 3 of our top centers out, especially Brisson and Wright, I am very curious as to how the playoffs are going to play out. If we somehow do this, I think we can thank our defense, Jeremy Debut, and probably Elfring, because he has been known, so far at least, to have some pretty good performances in the playoffs. 10 points in 11 games played in his 20-year-old season, and then 7 points in 7 games played during his 22-year-old season. Hopefully that holds true during these playoffs as well. And with that, I'll see you guys in the next one when we start the Year 5 playoffs with your Calgary Flames.